Your dog trusts you completely. That is not a small thing. It took them time to build it. Every consistent meal, every walk that happened when they expected it, every moment you stayed calm when they were scared, every time you came back after you left. All of it stacked, quietly and invisibly, into something that functions in a dog's brain like an unshakable belief. You are safe. You are reliable. You are the fixed point around which their entire world turns. But trust, even in dogs, is not invincible. It does not shatter dramatically. It does not disappear overnight. It erodes, slowly, in small and barely visible pieces, through repeated experiences that send a signal the dog cannot ignore. Something is not right about this person. Something here is not consistent. Something here I cannot fully count on. The painful part is that most of the things that erode a dog's trust are not acts of cruelty. They are acts of misunderstanding. Things done with love, with entirely good intentions, without any awareness of what the dog is actually experiencing on the other side of them. These are 7 of the most common ones, and if any of them feel familiar, that is not a reason for guilt. It is simply a reason to change. The first mistake is punishing your dog after the fact. You come home and find the trash knocked over, a shoe destroyed, a corner of the rug pulled up, and you react. You raise your voice. You point at the mess. You use a tone and a posture that make very clear you are not happy about what you found. And your dog, ears back, head low, body curved, that unmistakable expression that people so often and so confidently read as guilt, seems to understand exactly what they did wrong, except they do not, and the science on this is completely unambiguous. Dogs live in the present in a way that makes delayed punishment meaningless. Their capacity to connect a consequence to a behavior from moments ago is extremely limited. Research in canine cognition has consistently shown that the expression people interpret as guilt in dogs is not guilt at all. It is a stress response to the owner's tone, volume, and body language in the current moment. The dog is not thinking I should not have chewed that shoe and I know it. They are thinking the person I love is upset right now and I do not understand why, and I do not know how to make it stop, and I am afraid. What your dog experiences in that moment is not a lesson. It is confusion wrapped in fear, delivered by the person they trust most. And when that happens repeatedly, something subtle but real begins to shift in how they experience you. Your unpredictability becomes part of how they understand you. The trust erodes at its edges. The second mistake is forcing interactions they are clearly uncomfortable with. Your dog moves away from a stranger and you bring them back. Your dog tries to leave a social situation and you hold them in place. Your dog signals, again and again in their own clear language, that they are not comfortable, and those signals are dismissed because the situation seems harmless to you, or because you are embarrassed, or because you simply want them to relax and stop making things complicated. The problem is never the individual moment. The problem is the accumulated message it sends over time. Research on canine stress responses has shown that dogs who repeatedly experience their distress signals being ignored develop a pattern that behavioral scientists call learned helplessness, a state in which the dog stops sending signals at all because experience has taught them that the signals do not change anything. This is frequently mistaken for a calm or easygoing temperament. In reality, it is a dog who has stopped asking for help because asking has never once made a difference. Every time you override your dog's clear communication about their own comfort, you teach them that their voice carries no weight with you, that the person they have chosen to trust will not listen when it matters most. For a species whose entire emotional well-being depends on clear and reliable communication with their person, that is a deep and lasting erosion of the very foundation you share. The third mistake is being inconsistent with rules. On the couch today, not on the couch tomorrow. Jumping up is laughed at when you are in a good mood, corrected sharply when you are tired. Begging at the table is rewarded on slow weekend mornings and firmly ignored during busy weeknights. The rules change based on your mood, your energy level, who is visiting, how much patience you have left at the end of a long day. Dogs are pattern-seeking animals in a way that goes down to the very core of how their brain is organized and how it processes the world. They are constantly reading their environment for reliable signals, for things they can count on. When the rules shift without warning or logic, a dog does not interpret that as flexibility or casualness. They interpret it as noise. as a signal that the environment and the person shaping it cannot be fully predicted or trusted. Behavioral researchers have documented that inconsistent rule enforcement is one of the leading contributors to anxiety in domestic dogs, not because dogs need rigid structure for its own sake, but because predictability is the language of safety. A dog who knows what to expect from you is a dog who can genuinely relax. A dog who never knows which version of the rules is in effect today is a dog who lives with a low but constant hum of uncertainty that never fully resolves into peace. The fourth mistake is using your dog's name as a punishment. This one is subtle, and its effects run far deeper than most people realize. Every time you call your dog's name immediately before a correction, before a raised voice, before something they experience as unpleasant or frightening, you are actively conditioning their emotional response to the sound of their own name. The name that should be the single most reliable signal of warmth and good things and connection, slowly, repetition by repetition, becomes a sound they approach with caution rather than joy. Research from animal learning science is unambiguous on this point. Dogs form powerful and durable associative memories. The emotional quality of the experiences that consistently follow a stimulus shape how the animal feels about that stimulus over time. A dog whose name has been called repeatedly before baths they dread, corrections they fear, or abrupt endings to play they were enjoying, that dog will begin to hesitate when called. Not because they are disobedient or difficult, because their brain has learned, through honest and accurate experience, that their name does not reliably lead anywhere good. Protect your dog's name with real intention. Use it for greetings and celebrations. Use it when you have something wonderful to give them. Never use it as a warning or as a preface to something unpleasant. Their name should be the one word in the world that makes everything in them lift immediately and completely toward you. The fifth mistake is failing to read their stress signals. Dogs communicate their discomfort constantly and with remarkable clarity, but in a language that most owners were simply never taught to read. Yawning when nothing is tiring, licking their lips when there is no food present, turning their head away during a hug or a direct stare, suddenly sniffing the ground in the middle of a tense situation as if something there became urgently interesting, blinking slowly, showing a thin sliver of white around the edge of the eye, shaking off as if wet when their coat is completely dry. These are not random or meaningless behaviors. They are a precise and sophisticated vocabulary that ethologists call calming signals. Deliberate behaviors that dogs use to communicate their stress level, to de-escalate tension in their social environment, and to ask the creatures around them to ease off. Norwegian behaviorist Turid Rugaas, who spent decades documenting these signals, identified over 30 distinct calming signals that dogs use in their everyday communication. When an owner consistently fails to notice or respond to these signals, the dog does not simply continue sending them indefinitely. They escalate. They try louder and more unavoidable signals. And when those are also missed or dismissed, they eventually arrive at one of two places: complete shutdown or a reaction that is finally impossible to ignore. Neither outcome is what the dog wanted or was trying to create. Both of them represent a failure of the communication channel that trust is built upon. The sixth mistake is not following through on what you signal. You pick up the leash and then set it back down without going for a walk. You reach for the treat bag during a training moment and then get distracted and walk away. You call your dog over and then ignore them when they arrive. No reward, no real interaction, just a dismissal. You promise things in the non-verbal language your dog reads fluently and then do not deliver. Dogs build their model of your reliability through exactly this kind of repeated daily experience. Every time a signal consistently means what it has always meant, leash means walk, treat bag means training is happening, come means something genuinely good is on its way. The predictability of your behavior deepens your dog's trust in you as a reliable source of information about what the world is going to do next. And every time a signal means nothing or means something different from what it has meant before, that reliability takes a quiet but real hit. Over enough repetitions, a dog begins to weight your signals differently. The certainty and brightness and immediacy of a trusting dog's response, that clean, full-bodied, unhesitating movement toward the person they believe in, begins to dull. Be the person whose signals mean exactly what they have always meant. The seventh mistake is exposing them to chronic stress without relief. Loud environments they cannot escape from. Long hours of isolation without adequate mental stimulation or physical release. The sustained tension that lives in a home going through difficulty, arguments, emotional volatility, the particular atmospheric weight of adult human stress that a dog absorbs and carries in their body without any framework for processing or releasing it. Situations that produce genuine fear, repeated frequently enough that the fear transitions from a response to a specific event into a permanent background condition. Research in veterinary behavioral medicine has documented the physiological effects of chronic stress on dogs in careful and sobering detail. Sustained elevated cortisol affects immune function, disrupts sleep architecture, contributes to the development of behavioral problems, shortens telomeres, and measurably changes the way a dog's brain processes both information and relationships over time. A dog living under chronic stress is not simply an unhappy dog. They are a physiologically different dog from who they would otherwise be. And the trust dimension of this is specific and important to understand. Dogs look to their owner as an emotional regulator, as the primary source of the signal that tells them whether the world is safe or threatening, manageable or overwhelming. When the owner is the source of chronic stress, or when the owner consistently fails to provide relief from stress that comes from elsewhere, the regulatory relationship that trust depends on breaks down entirely. The dog cannot borrow your calm because your calm is not available. They cannot feel safe because safety does not reliably come from you. Be their relief. Be the presence that makes the world smaller and softer when it gets to be too much. That is what trust, at its deepest and most essential level, actually requires of you. 7 mistakes, none of them made from cruelty, all of them made from not yet knowing. But now you know. And the beautiful thing about a dog's trust is that it is not only capable of eroding, it is also fully capable of being rebuilt, slowly, patiently, through the same mechanism that built it in the first place. Small acts, done reliably and with intention, day after day, that say, I see you, I hear you, I am paying attention, and I will not let you down again. They are still watching, they are still hoping, and they will meet you exactly where you choose to show up for them. If this made you think of something you want to do differently starting today, leave it in the comments. There is no judgment here, only people who love their dogs and are trying to do better by them. Like this video if it changed something in how you see your dog's behavior. And subscribe to keep going deeper into the mind of the animal who has been trusting you, quietly and completely, all along.